From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang in review. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday joined the nation in commemorating the 2024 National Heroes Day as he led the flag-raising and wreath-laying ceremony at the Libingan ng mga Bayani or Heroes Cemetery in Taguig City. Spearheaded by the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, or NHCP, the event honors all Filipino heroes who have demonstrated remarkable bravery and struggled for the country's freedom and independence. It also serves as a tribute to the nation's modern-day heroes under a Bagong Pilipinas or New Philippines for their unwavering dedication, compassion, and hard work in accelerating the growth of the Philippine economy. The theme for this year's observance is Kabayanihan ng Pilipino sa panahon ng pagbabago. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the event.
On this day, on the National Heroes Day, we commemorate and honor the courageous men and women who fought in battles to safeguard our land, our freedom, and our dignity. The heroes who dedicated their lives for our nation and represent the unbroken lineage of Filipino heroism and the enduring spirit of our patriotism. Our country's rich history produced a number of great heroes. Lapu-Lapu and his warriors stood firm and defiant against foreign aggressors. Dr. Jose Rizal, whose brilliance and passion sparked a revolution. Andres Bonifacio, Antonio Luna, and the Katipuneros, whose dauntless courage blazed the trail for freedom. Gabriela Silang, Trinidad Texon, Teresa Magbanwa proved that Filipino women are just as fierce and valiant as their male counterparts. Their bravery and determination paved the way to the freedom that all of us enjoy today, although it came at a high cost: their peace, their rights, their lives. While these gallant men and women remind us that our liberty was hard-won, those who lie here at the Libingan ng mga Bayani reminds us once again of the constant vigilance that it's required to preserve it. Let our commemoration today teach us the importance of not only remembering our heroes, but also of continuing to perpetuate their legacy of patriotism and of nobility. After all, heroism is not confined to just the history books. Heroism also lies in him and her who are virtuous, in those who are compassionate, in those who are just. We have seen how it resides in the heart of a modern-day Filipino, fearless amidst the continuing adversities and perils that the world has unleashed: geopolitical conflicts, diseases, climate change. We see it in the Navy and the Coast Guard, who defend our maritime borders, in the soldiers who protect our citizens, and in the healthcare workers who put their lives at stake for others. We also see it in the overseas Filipinos who leave the comfort of home to support their loved ones, in the ordinary workers who turn the gears of our economy, and in the farmer and fisher folk who increase our agricultural output to put food on every Filipino's table. It is emulated by educators who lead our fight against illiteracy, journalists who promote truth and accountability, the environmental advocates who ensure that we and our children will have a safe place to call home. It is embodied by our athletes who stood before millions, bearing the name of the Philippines in the international arena. All our Olympic athletes who persevered and highlighted once again the Filipino talent in the field of sports. Soon, the Paralympic Games will start, And the 6 Filipino Paralympians are already there, making us proud. The extraordinary strength and dedication to compete despite their disabilities are a symbol of hope for all of us. The national pride they brought and continue to bring home is unrequitable, not by awards, not by effusive praises, not by incentives. We have heard their stories. We saw the glory. We did not, however, witness the discipline and the sacrifice that they endure to train every single day, the risks of injury, the struggles of financial constraints. And yet, we see them, and they have come through. That is the definition of a modern hero, and a testament that each of us is capable of becoming one by uplifting our fellow men and women, serving our communities, and working to save our heritage for future generations. As we dedicate this day to honor our heroes of the past, let us not lose sight of what is asked of us for the present and for the future. Let us carry on the great legacy of our brave ancestors with the fortitude of an enlightened mind, the strength of compassion and generosity, and the courage of our convictions. In the spirit of shared responsibility, I call on everyone to be heroes in their own right. Uphold the principles of democracy, abide by the rule of law, and defend our sovereignty. Let us acknowledge the significance of history and pass it on to our young Filipinos so we can nurture in our children the love of country. For it is only in that patriotism that we can preserve our national identity. Let us pay homage to our past so that we can be worthy of the freedom that our ancestors fought for and of the bagong Pilipinas that we can proudly leave to succeeding generations. With this vision ingrained in our endeavors, we can build a nation where the dreams of our heroes are realized in every home, in every community, in every single Filipino heart. I wish everyone a meaningful day of remembrance. Mabuhay ang ating mga bayani, mabuhay ang kabayanihan ng bawat Pilipino.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday led the oath-taking of the newly elected officers of the National Press Club of the Philippines or NPC, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas or KBP, Malacañang Press Corps or MPC, Malacañang Cameraman Association or MCA, and Presidential Photojournalists Association or PPA. In his speech, the President urged journalists to remain at the forefront of the fight against fake news and continue adhering to the most ethical and professional standards of journalism. During the oath-taking of newly elected officers of various media groups at the Malacañang Palace, the President asked journalists to help the government see and address the weakness of its system and continue to uphold the nation's best interests so that our country can continue to flourish. President Marcos acknowledged the critical role of the media in the grand task of nation building, especially in helping the public make informed decisions. The President said that with the rise of social media, it has become harder and harder for ordinary citizens to discern what is fake news, what is real news, what is propaganda, what is pure objective information. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the event.
We witness today the oath-taking of the newly elected officers of our esteemed media groups, reaffirming our commitment to the principles and ideals of responsible journalism, one of the foundations of any democracy. I congratulate the newly elected officers of the NPC of the Philippines, the kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas, the Malacañang Press Corps, the Malacañang Cameramen Association, and the Presidential Photojournalists Association, as you embrace the task of news reporting. Your courage and passion in championing freedom of speech and expression in our communities echo the aspirations of our people. In an age when information drives the progress of our society, your dedication to lending expertise to help speak the truth on matters of national importance and promote objectivity in the face of conflicting news is invaluable. I ask that you continue to adhere to the utmost ethical and professional standards of journalism, free from sensationalism, bias, and personal motives. Help us see and address the weaknesses of our system. Continue to uphold our nation's best interests so that our country can continue to flourish. I trust that you will also make the most of your platforms by amplifying the voices of the marginalized so that they too can take part in the building of our nation. Your persistent efforts have aided us in shaping a more enlightened and empowered citizenry, one that is more capable of joining our pursuit of a stronger bagong Pilipinas. So as you fulfill your mandate, I urge you to remain at the forefront of our efforts in helping our people distinguish truth from misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. A most important issue as we are facing all kinds of information, and it has become harder and harder, especially the proliferation of social media. It has become harder and harder for the ordinary citizen who does not follow necessarily closely the events that are being reported upon, and therefore it's difficult for them to discern what is fake news, what is real news, what is propaganda, what is pure objective information. Whereas before, journalists, especially, let's start with print journalists. Print journalists would not print anything until they have verified, validated, with more than one source, never just one single source, always a second, a third, as many as possible, before printing any information, anything in print. On television and when Trimedia came into play, that's the same thing. Because if a radio commentator or a television commentator says something that is patently false, they will be taken to task for it. And people can check and people can verify. And so that is how we develop trusted journalists. And you say, when this journalist speaks, totoo yan. Kasi hindi nagsasalita yan kung hindi pinag-research na mabuti, kung hindi pinag-isipan, kung hindi nakakaunawa na mabuti dun sa issue na kanyang pinag-uusapan. Ngayon, kahit sino pwedeng mag-post ng kahit na ano under an assumed name. It is for an ordinary person who is too busy with their own lives, trying to make a living, trying to feed their families. They do not have time to go back and look at the documents and research and say, this guy is true, this guy is not true. And so that is where our problem now lies. And it is a very, very difficult one. We have just read the news about the CEO of Telegram being arrested in France. And this brings us again to how do we balance this new technology of social media with the responsibilities of the fourth estate and the responsibilities that we do not allow to proliferate harmful posts, harmful information, false and fake information. And that is, we are battling with this at all times. However, and I remember an interview with a New York Times reporter who was working in the Middle East. And he was asked, he said, what is the relevance of newspapers now? Nobody reads newspapers. They go to the internet. Even if they read your newspapers, it's on a computer. But there have many other sources now. And I remember very well his answer. He says, I have lived here in the Middle East and have reported in the Middle East for the last 25 years. I know the personalities. They know me. I know the evolution of the situation here. And whenever I'm given a press release, I look into it. And I ask many other sources and say, is this true? Is this correct? Is this the right interpretation? Before I write it down in the paper. And he said, the reason that you still need to read the paper is that we are experts at what we do. And we have been honing that expertise over many years. With social media, I will use his precise words, any pimply-faced 16-year-old sitting in his basement can write a post. And you have no way to verify if it is indeed somebody who has some knowledge, some background on what they are doing, on what they are writing about. And that is where you come in. That is where the reliable journalists come in. So that we know, as the reading public, the watching public, so that we can know that these are the people that we can trust, because everything that they say is verified. Sometimes it's not nothing. Nobody's 100% right, but they do their very best to get it right, and that I think is where we stand right now. I'm not saying that there are any magic bullets or easy solutions to this, but we must continue to try to provide our public we must continue to provide our public with the proper information, because this affects their lives, this affects the decisions that they make in their lives. And we have seen how fake news has become. I think it was most prevalent during COVID, when you did not know what anybody was talking about. And people were saying, I remember reading this, that, what you should be doing is doing this, that, and the other thing. And then you would look, who is writing this? I would always look, who is this person writing this? What are their qualifications to write this? And you would get pathologists. The pathologists don't have to worry about infectious diseases. If they make a mistake, it doesn't matter. Their patients are already dead. You have these commentators who have no medical training. Well, all of this kind of thing. And that is where that has evolved. It has become even worse since COVID. So it is, but the technology exists, and that is why we have to be very careful and to be very clear what the mission of journalists are, what the true mission of the fourth estate is, that to provide clear information and intelligent and cogent and profound analysis, not just some off the cuff, advice that I don't know, that they just thought up while they were drinking with their friends. So these are the issues that we are facing. They are not interested. These people that post fake news are not interested in providing news. They're interested in getting followers, because more followers, more money. So you see all the ridiculous situations there where kung ano-ano ginagawa basta't may manunood. The worst part is that some of these crazy people, even those who do not disagree with them, follow them, because they are interested in what's this crazy guy saying now. So nadadagdagan pa rin. So they continue becoming crazy because they have more followers that way. And sobriety and common sense and real and true information therefore becomes even more important than I think it has ever become in our entire history. The mass, the volume of information is so much because of our technological advances. It is so much that we must play a part in trying to help ordinary readers, citizens, to discern what is news, what is propaganda, and what is just outright fakery. And that's where we stand. Trust this administration will always remain committed to making the country safe for journalists and media practitioners so you can you can exercise your profession. We have made strides in holding accountable those who have committed violence on our media personnel and practitioners. We have filed cases against suspects. Our law enforcement agencies continue to work hard to bring other perpetrators to justice. There is no place for violence against the media in Bagong Pilipinas. And so I invite everyone here today to continue strengthening this partnership between the media and the government. It is critical. It is critical. We need media to be there. Government would not function as well as it does without the media. Because if unfettered, government can go in any direction, and we need, once in a while, a watchdog to say, look, you're going too far this way. You've made a mistake here. And it makes us think, make us re-examine what we have done, and perhaps take into account what has been said by our media practitioners. I always say when there are reports and there are people who are critical of my administration, and people say, why do you listen to that? They just put you in a bad mood. And I said, they might be right. There's a chance that despite being critical of you, maybe one guy's right. So listen to everything. Don't shoot the messenger. If they really believe what they're saying, then think about it. Baka naman tama siya. And that's why we need you. We need the media. Well, I always consider you partners in government, and that check and balance that you provide is very important. And so that is an important role to play to secure a vibrant democracy where discussions are being held at every level on every subject. So with your cooperation, we can bring about the Bagong Pilipinas that we envision for ourselves and for our children. Let us continue working together to achieve this goal.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday said the public should expect continued public service and more from programs and projects from the administration to improve the quality of life of Filipinos. This is the statement of the President following the latest result from an Okta research survey wherein his trust ratings went up to 71% this second quarter of 2024 from the 69% rating during the first quarter. The chief executive's satisfaction rating also increased from 65% during the first quarter to 68%. In an interview with the media, President Marcos said this is because the public sees what the government is doing and they are feeling the effects. These figures, the President added, serves as an inspiration to the government to continue, if not surpass, what they are currently doing now in order to uplift the lives of the Filipino people.
Maybe may kasama na yun, but I think it's because it's a trust rating, it is more na yun nga nakikita naman that we are really doing our best to try to alleviate the hardships na dinadaanan ng mga tao. So it's good to have that kind of result or statistic behind you. They just, again, every time this happens, for us, as far as I'm concerned, is that it seems to be people beginning to understand what we're trying to do. They're beginning to feel the effects of it. And so you must continue to do more and even try to do even better. So that's always an inspiration for me.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday denied allegations of abuses in the police operations to serve arrest warrants for accused sex offender and human trafficker Apollo Quiboloy and his accomplices, saying his detractors are only politicizing the issue. In an interview with the media, the president defended the number of police officers deployed in the 30-hectare property of Quiboloy's Kingdom of Jesus Christ or KOJC compound in Davao City. The chief executive also said the police officers deployed at KOJC compound were unarmed. Some 2,000 police officers swooped down at the KOJC compound on Saturday, which is also home to some of his followers, with the hope of finally apprehending the fugitive religious leader. The authorities are serving the warrant of arrest against Quiboloy and 5 other KOJC members for charges of child abuse and human trafficking. The Philippine National Police or PNP believes Quiboloy is still holed up inside the KOJC compound.
Anyway, the reason we did this was so that we could maintain the peace. The only way to maintain the peace is to make sure that the area is safe and is secure. And considering this is a 30-hectare compound, kailangan mo talaga ng maraming tao. Hindi mo pwedeng gawin ito na 100 pulis. Para hindi na bale yung mga lumalaban o yung mga nagre-resist, nanghaharang, hindi na bale muna yun. Para lang yung pag-inspeksyon ng 30 hectares, kailangan mo na kagad ng maraming tao. So, I do not see. I think what they are talking about is political na yan. Hindi na totoo yan. You go to any human rights advocate, there's nothing that we did. Lahat ng pumasok na pulis, hindi armado. Walang baril, kahit isa. Hindi kami gumamit ng tear gas. Wala kaming ginawang ganun. So anong human rights violation? Marami lang. Kung kukonti yun, mas marami pang nasaktan. Mas maraming nasaktan na supporter ng Kingdom of Jesus Christ, maraming nasaktan na pulis dahil maglalaban. So kung marami, itapos ka agad ang problema. So that's what we've done.
Yeah. Surrender na lang po. Surrender na lang po.
Hindi ko nga maintindihan kung bakit dinadamay ni Quiboloy ang mga tauhan niya. Kasi sinasabak niya yung mga tauhan niya. Wala namang kasalanan niya mga yan. They just believe they're looking for an answer, a value system, and they think they have found it with Quiboloy. But they did not sign up to be in the front line of this kind of thing that's happening now, that they will protect him from arrest, even when he has cases filed against him, not only here in the Philippines, but also in the United States. So, I suppose I can understand their disagreement with us, even anger. But all that the police are doing is enforcing the warrant of arrest against Apollo Quiboloy. That's all they're doing.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday said he has a very good idea as to who helped Mayor Alice Guo get out of the country following the complaints and allegations of the involvement of the dismissed Bamban mayor with the illegal operations of Philippine offshore gaming operators or POGOs in the country. In an interview, the president said He already discussed this with Department of Justice or DOJ Secretary Jesus Remulla, and they are about to finish their investigation and will soon come out with the list of individuals who will be held responsible. The chief executive said they are just figuring out as to how many are involved and how deep their collaboration is. To recall, President Marcos earlier said that those behind the departure of Guo from the country will be held accountable.
Yes, definitely. So DOJ, I was just with the secretary earlier today. Is almost finished with a very thorough investigation, and we will identify all of those who have, all of those who are involved in this, and we will act very quickly. Well, that's not the that's what the last part of this is. How far, how deep does it go? Isa lang bang tao ang involved, o marami sila, o sindikato ito? That's what we are looking at now. There are no sacred cows.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday met with United States Indo-Pacific Command or U.S. Indo-PACOM Commander Admiral Samuel Paparo at Malacañang Palace in Manila, where they discussed defense and security issues. During the meeting, the President expressed optimism that the Philippines' relations with U.S. Indo-PACOM would improve under Paparo's leadership. The chief executive also thanked Paparo for finding time to visit the Philippines and tour some Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement or EDCA sites to see the true situation on the ground. President Marcos and Paparo's meeting focused on the Philippines and the US's commitment to strengthening their defense and security partnership, Communications Secretary Cheloy Garfield said in a statement. Paparo is scheduled to visit an EDCA site on Wednesday and attend the annual meeting of the Mutual Defense Board and Security Engagement Board in Baguio City on Thursday. Paparo assumed command of the U.S. Indo-PACOM on May 3rd. U.S. Indo-PACOM, established as a unified command on January 1st, 1947, is one of 6 geographic unified combatant commands of the U.S. Armed Forces and the oldest and largest of the American unified commands. With allies and partners, U.S. Indo-PACOM is committed to enhancing stability in the Asia-Pacific region by promoting security cooperation, encouraging peaceful development, responding to contingencies, and deterring aggression.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP presented on Tuesday to Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. 7,500 peso gold and 750 peso silver commemorative coins of the central bank. The presentation coincides with the 75th anniversary of central banking in the country. The coins feature the obverse side of the gold and silver non-circulation legal tender coins, the Intendencia or the Aduana building in Intramuros, Manila. Intendencia is the first building that served as the primary office of the BSP. On the other side, the coins show the mark of the year 1949 and the color of the 75th year anniversary. The mirror-like coins was made using the latest technology in digital printing. The central bank will soon announce through social media channels as to when the commemorative coins will be available and can be sold through the BSP store.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday presided over a sectoral meeting to discuss updates on the Philippine Coconut Industry Development Plan or PCIDP at the State Dining Room in Malacañang Palace. During the meeting, the President approved the additional funding for the massive coconut planting, replanting, and fertilization program of the Philippine Coconut Authority or PCA for 2025. According to the Presidential Communications Office or PCO, the additional funds would be used to implement the Philippine Coconut Industry Development Plan or PCIDP 2024 to 2034. The PCO said the PCIDP 2024 to 2034 is a response to President Marcos Jr.'s directive to the PCA in October of 2023, instructing them to create a detailed plan for the development of the country's coconut industry. The chief executive has expressed his intention to make the Philippines the world's #1 coconut exporter, seeing it as a great opportunity for the country's continued economic growth. The PCA is looking to plant 100 million coconut trees by the year 2028.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has committed to strengthening the bilateral ties between the Philippines and Cambodia. The President met with Cambodian Deputy Prime Minister Sokchenda Sophia at the Malacañang Palace on Tuesday, where he emphasized the importance of continued cooperation with Cambodia and other member states of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN. The chief executive noted that the Philippines has been keen on undertaking partnerships and cooperation extending to other allied states across the globe. The Philippines and Cambodia have maintained cordial ties since the resumption of diplomatic relations in 1995. Sok is in the country to co-chair the 4th meeting of the Cambodia-Philippines Joint Commission for Bilateral Cooperation or JCBC in the Philippines at the invitation of Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo. The 2-day meeting aims to assess the progress in implementing the agreements reached by the two countries during the 3rd meeting of the Cambodia-Philippines JCBC in December of 2021. This is the first bilateral visit of the Cambodian official to an ASEAN country as the head of delegation and as Cambodian Foreign Minister since 2017.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday announced to fisherfolk in Cavite Province that they can now start fishing again as the oil spill from the fuel tanker MTKR Terra Nova that sank off Limay, Bataan Province is now gone. During the ceremonial distribution of aid of over 165 million pesos worth of presidential assistance to fisherfolk and families in General Trias, Cavite, the President said Agriculture Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel himself confirmed that there are no more oil spill in Cavite. The chief executive also expressed hope that the assistance given to affected individuals would be enough to help them recover from the dire impact of the oil spills. The Department of Agriculture or DA, Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources or BIFAR, continue to monitor the situation in fishing areas affected by the oil spill caused by the capsizing and sinking of MTKR Terra Nova near the coast of Lamau Point in Limay, Bataan on July 25th. MTKR Terra Nova and Jason Bradley and motor vessel or MV Mirola 1 sank or ran aground in the coast of Bataan in July. More than 25,000 families from Cavite were reported affected by the oil spill in Bataan, according to government data cited by the President. Let us now listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the event.
Narito naman tayo ngayong araw kasama ang ating mga kababayang mangingisda at kani-kanilang mga pamilya dito sa Cavite upang mag-abot ng tulong na magpapasiglang muli sa inyong kabuhayan sa gitna ng sunod-sunod na insidente ng oil spill. Ayon sa datos, mahigit 25,000 pamilya mula sa probinsya ng Cavite ang naapektuhan ng mga pangyayaring ito mula sa paglubog ng 3 barko sa Bataan nitong nakaraang Hulyo. Mahigit 33,000 mangingisda ang naperwisyo ng nasabing trahedya, samantalang mahigit 250 milyong piso ang nawala sa kanilang kita. Labis man ang epekto nito sa inyong lalawigan, ako ay naniniwala na sa tulong ng bawat isa, tayo ay makakaahon mula sa pagsubok na ito. Sapagkat ang Cavite ay tahanan ng ating mga makasaysayan at magigiting na bayani, tulad ni Emilio Ginaldo, Mariano Trias at Mariano Alvarez. Dumadaloy sa inyong mga ugat ang lahing palaban sa hamon ng buhay. Isa itong malaking bahagi ng inyong pagkakalinlan ng simbolo ng inyong panindigan. Ang Cavite ay tahanan din ng ating mga magsasaka at mangingisda na malaki ang ambag sa ating agrikultura at ekonomiya ngayon. Sa araw na ito, inaabot ko ang aking taus-pusong pasasalamat at suporta sa mga mangingisda na naririto, kasama ang inyong mga pamilya na kaagapay ninyo sa araw-araw. At nasabihan lang ako ni ating Secretary Kiko Laurel ng DA na mula ngayon ay maari ng mangisda, wala ng oil spill, pwede nang ituloy ang inyong hanap buhay. Asahan po ninyo na ang pamahalaan ay gumagawa ng mga hakbang upang malibsan ang pinsala na inidulot ng mga insidenteng kagaya nito. Hangad namin na ang presidential assistance na aming handog sa bawat apektadong mangingisda ay makakatulong sa inyong pagbangon at magbibigay ng panibagong pag-asa. Sa pangunguna ng BIFAR, makakatanggap ang ating mga mangingisda ng 18 milyong piso na halaga ng tulong, kabilang na ang post-harvest equipment, training, tulong pinansyal para sa gasolina. Ang DSWD naman ay nakapag-abot na ng halos 70 milyong pisong halaga ng ayuda para sa mga apektadong pamilya. Naglaan din kami ng 3 milyong pisong standby funds at higit 100 milyong pisong halaga ng pagkain ng non-food items. Kasangga rin ninyo ang DOLE na nagbigay ng mahigit 8 milyong piso tulong para sa mga apektadong kababayan natin sa Tansa at sa Naik. Sa ilalim ng tulong panghanap buhay sa ating Disadvantaged Displaced Workers Program, sinisikap namin na mabigyan ng trabaho ang ating mga kababayang naapektuhan at lubos na nangangailangan. Nagsasagawa naman ang DOH ng konsultasyon sa buong rehiyon. Patuloy din ang DOH sa rapid health risk assessment at water testing sa mga nasalantang lugar upang matiyak na ang mga residente na ligtas sila at maayos ang kalusugan sa kabila ng oil spill. Sa ngayon, iniimbestigahan na natin ang paglubog ng mga barko upang makakalap tayo na sapat na impormasyon na mapanagot ang mga nagsala ayon sa batas. Titiyakin din natin na makakatanggap ng karampatang kompensasyon ang mga naapektuhang mamamayan. Masaya kong ibinabalita na matagumpay na nating inapigilan ang pagtagas ng langis mula sa mga barkong ito, partikular yung Terra Nova, nang hindi na ito makapinsala sa ating kalikasan. Nasimulan na rin ang ating operasyon para sa tuluyang pag-recover ng langis mula sa nasabing barko at inaasahang matapos natin ito sa lalong madaling panahon. Ang estimate ng ating Coast Guard kasama yung mga salvor ay sa kanilang pananaw, sa kanilang pagkalkula ay 2 linggo daw yan ang tatagal yung pagsipsip nung langis doon sa barko. Naumpisa na ito mga 4 days ago, siguro mga 10 days na lang matitira. Pagkatapos ng 10 araw ay masasabi natin na isip-sip na lahat ng langis, pwede nang subukan na i-recover yung barko na yan. Palulutangin nila ulit at dadalhin nila sa ibang lugar. Kung meron pang natirang langis doon, saka doon kukunin. Kaya naging maayos naman ang ating pagsagot at pagtugon dito sa krisis na ito. At marami namang tumulong sa atin, hindi lamang ang ating Coast Guard, hindi lamang ang ating DOST, ang ating DNR, kundi rin po ang mga international na merong mga organisasyon po na ngayon, mga NGO, na kapag may oil spill, ay lalapit at tumutulong, tinuturuan tayo kung ano yung mga teknolohiya, ano yung mga gamit na para mas maganda ang ating magawa. Kaya yun po ang ginawa natin. Kaya ang una naming inaasikaso ay na maging secure yung barko. Kaya yun ang inuna. Kaya lahat ng mga tumutulo, lahat ng mga lumalabas na langis, ay linagyan natin, kinoberan po natin lahat yan. Yan ang una. Kaya tumagal bago na sip-sip. Ngayon, nagsisip-sip na tayo. Kaya ngayon, yun na nga, umabot na rin tayo sa araw na masabi natin, maari na naman na ang ating mga isda ay mangisda ulit. Patuloy naman ang ating pagkumpuni at pag-aayos ng manhole at air vent sa Jason Bradley na kabilang paghahanda para sa ating refloating operation. Palulutang nila ulit. Isinasagawa na rin ang seawater siphoning, yun na nga sa barkong Mirola 1, kasabay ng pagtatakip sa mga butas ng katawan nito. Mga kababayan, kasabay ng pagbibigay namin ng tulong sa mga komunidad, asahan din po ninyo na patuloy ang inyong pamahalaan sa paghahanap ng solusyon sa mga problemang dinulot ng pangyayaring ito. Nagsisikap din kami na bigyan kayo ng panibagong lakas at pag-asa upang malampasan ang dagok na ito, matugunan ang ating pangangailangan ng nakakaraming Pilipino at mapalakas muli ang industriya ng pangingisda sa Cavite. Magiging kaagapay ninyo ang administrasyong ito sa pagpapalawak ng inyong kaalaman at kasanayan sa pangingisda at sa paghihikayat pa sa kabataan na makilahok sa pagsulong ng inyong sektor. Bukod sa bayanihang ating nasasaksihan ngayon, naway magsilbing paalala rin ang mga pangyayaring ito upang bigyan natin ng angkop na atensyon ang ating kapaligiran at mga likas na yaman. Sama-sama natin pagtatagumpayan ang mga hamon ng buhay at bigyan ng katuparan ang ating mga pangarap sapagkat walang maiiwan at walang mahuhuli sa bagong Pilipinas.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday approved the 3.8 billion peso Philippine Civil Service Modernization Project, or PCSMP, to improve efficiency in the bureaucracy and streamline the country's civil service. In a Malacañang Insider program Thursday, Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Arsenio Balisacan said the PCSMP was among the topics discussed during the 20th National Economic and Development Authority, or NEDA, board meeting. Balisacan said the Civil Service Modernization Program aims to upgrade the country's civil service, particularly the need to streamline processes and procedures on human resource management in the public sector. The NEDA secretary said the PCSMP will improve the current system, making government agencies interconnected and digitalized in handling public finances and in filling up job vacancies in the public sector. Almost 2 million public servants will benefit from the PCSMP, Balisacan said, adding that the program will also address the inefficiency in filling up vacant positions and the lack of maximization of people in government that contribute to low productivity. He said the program will also improve fiscal management and discipline in the bureaucracy, particularly on fund utilization and payroll management. Balisacan said the PCSMP will help streamline fund utilization among various agencies, helping ensure prompt public service.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday received Permanent Court of Arbitration or PCA Secretary General Marcin Chepelac during a courtesy call at Malacañang Palace in Manila. In a statement, Communications Secretary Cheloy Garafil said Chepelac expressed his intent to forge a host country agreement with the Philippines to facilitate the international court's hearings in the country. Under a host country agreement, the host country and the PCA will establish a legal framework for the conduct of future PCA-administered proceedings in the territory of the host country on an ad hoc basis without the need for a permanent physical PCA presence in that territory. A PCA facility may also be established in the territory of the host country. Garafil said Chepelac met with the president as a custom for PCA officials to visit contracting parties to promote the International Tribunal's dispute settlement mechanisms. The chief executive assured Chepelac that the Philippines would continue to adhere to international law. Chepelac will stay in the Philippines until Friday. The PCA Secretary General's visit to the Philippines comes amid China's aggressive acts in the disputed South China Sea or SCS, including the West Philippine Sea or WPS, which is within the Philippines Exclusive Economic Zone or EEZ. The PCA on July 12, 2016 ruled in favor of the Philippines' petition to invalidate China's extensive claims to the SCS.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday appointed Joseph Francisco Ortega as the new chairperson of the National Youth Commission or NYC. In a social media post, the Presidential Communications Office or PCO said, "The President is confident that under Ortega's leadership, the NYC will continue to be a vital force in shaping the future of the nation, inspiring young Filipinos to take on leadership roles and make meaningful contributions to society." The PCO added that Ortega has a distinguished background in tourism and youth advocacy and is well positioned to lead the NYC in its mission to develop and implement policies that will further the welfare and development of young Filipinos across the country. Prior to his appointment, Ortega served as the regional director of the Department of Tourism or DOT Region 1 since 2019, where he spearheaded numerous initiatives to boost regional tourism and promote sustainable development. Meanwhile, the president also appointed Carl Joseph Legaspi as the NYC's second Commissioner at Large.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service is heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 15.640 MHz, 17.820 MHz, and 12.010 MHz. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang in Review. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.